Good evening, I'm Kevin Christopher.
And I'm Nancy Cox. Thank you for joining us at 6. Police have a man in custody who they say was planning a mass shooting at a central Kentucky business.
But a few heads-up employees made a call which likely saved many lives. It all happened at LB Manufacturing on Industry Drive in Springfield. And that's where Michael Burke is with the LEX 18 Big Story at 6.
We're at LB Manufacturing and we have a visitor who won't leave our parking lot.
Police say that visitor to LB Manufacturing was Matthew R. Smith, and what they learned and found after responding to the 911 call was frightening.
He made some statements that indicated to us that he was there to cause harm and destruction.
And police say he nearly made Assistant Chief of Police Joe Templeman his first victim.
Your heart doesn't even have time to race.
Smith allegedly pointed one of these guns at Templeman, whose training, experience, and above all instincts took over.
It was a very credible threat. You've seen the report, all the ammunition, firearms that were found ready to go.
Numerous handguns, rifles, even an AR-15 are what police say they collected from Smith's car. Who knows how many lives were saved by the 911 call made by those employees who saw something and said something.
Everything leads us to believe that he was going to do a mass shooting inside this facility.
And if that was Smith's plan, it was foiled.
They saw something, they said something, and I believe it stopped. Everybody went home that night.
Which police say was not a given during some very tense and incredibly scary moments. Covering the news in Washington County, Michael Burke, LEX 18 News.
Smith will be arraigned on several charges, including attempted murder, on Monday. Now, this is the second mass shooting thwarted in Kentucky in a little more than a month. On October 18th, Dylan Gerald was arrested in his driveway. State police say Gerald had a detailed plan to open fire at schools in both Anderson and Shelby counties. They say he was armed and had hundreds of rounds of ammunition. Police say they stopped him just in time, all thanks to a tip from a New Jersey mother. Carberly Bull reported Gerald to KSP after she says he sent her a racially charged Facebook message about her and her biracial children.
The second of 2 Ohio grandmothers charged with helping to cover up the massacre of 8 members of another family has been released from jail. 65-year-old Rita Newcomb, who is a murder suspect, Angela Warner's mother, is now on house arrest. She's accused of obstruction and perjury, along with forging custody documents involving her 4-year-old granddaughter, whose father is a member of the Wagner family and whose mother was one of the Roden family members killed. Police say George Billy Wagner, who was arrested in Lexington, killed the Rodens along with his wife Angela and 2 adult sons. The second grandmother accused of obstruction and perjury, Billy Wagner's mother, 76-year-old Frederica Wagner, was released from jail last week and is also on house arrest. Once known as the first black man to play basketball for Adolph Rupp, now a convicted serial rapist who served time in 3 states, Tom Payne had a lot to overcome this morning when he sat in front of the parole board asking for his freedom. And he was overjoyed when that panel said yes.
God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. I won't let you down.
68-year-old Tom Payne has been paroled in Kentucky once before, so he faced tough questions about the 3 times he raped women. The challenges of being one of the only black players in the SEC.
I always felt that seething anger and hatred towards people when I had got mocked and I had got harassed.
And questions about what he's done the last 30 years to reform and to ensure society would not be endangered by his freedom.
I've learned how to deal with my resentment and my hate that I had, which I really believe in my heart I don't have any of that anymore.
Payne bluntly admitted he blew it. His first year at UK, he was all SEC, had a promising career and life ahead.
The spiritual and emotional brutality of segregation at that time, the racial forces at that time, kicked something off in me that was dark.
Even after all that turned to violence, Payne was not forgotten. Some of his teammates have become his spiritual brothers, he says.
I apologize to my school. I apologize to the people that believed in me, because even at that time I had people that believed in me, but I couldn't see it.
Payne plans a new life with his fiancée in Lansing, Michigan, where he has a spot waiting in a rehabilitation program. A perfect disciplinary record, therapy, a strong family, and a drive to do good, he says, will make today's decision a good one.
I'm hoping that a time will come where people will look at me and give me a chance and forgive me.
The first step toward that forgiveness begins soon.
Good luck to you, Mr. Payne. Good luck, sir.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. That's my reaction. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Thank you, man.
What's the first thing you'll do?
Pray. Pray.
A date for Payne's release has not yet been set. No victims or their families were present today or at his parole hearing 2 years ago.
Saw clouds around the area today, cold temperatures too. A few folks, a little bit of light rain came down. It didn't amount to much. You still may be seeing a little patch of drizzle mainly in the east. Those are all going away as we look to our future track. 7 o'clock, mainly just clouds. As we go toward midnight, you'll notice the clearing line tries to approach I-75. It's going to take a little while, though, to clear all these clouds out of here. So tomorrow morning, yeah, we'll begin to see more in the way of sunshine, although clouds may still hold tough across the southeast as we continue into your day tomorrow. Some new clouds begin to come in from the north. That's in advance of the cold front you've been hearing so much about, not so much affecting our Thanksgiving weather, but for the folks up in the northeast. So the Macy's parade again will be awfully interesting. For us tomorrow late in the day, the clouds will begin to increase for us again. It is cold. We're looking at temperatures running in the mid-30s, and it feels kind of clammy out there too. But your day tomorrow should begin better. With sunshine, it'll be cold. We'll be in the upper 20s, low 40s at lunch on our way to a high in the mid 40s tomorrow afternoon. We'll get you to Thanksgiving with the forecast in just a minute.
All right, Bill, see you then.
Today marks 1 week since a Harrison County man was reported missing, and crews continued their search of the area where he was last seen.
Yesterday, the search for 39-year-old Kelly Hudgens focused on the South Fork Licking River in Cynthiana. By sundown, though, crews hadn't found anything, despite hits from cadaver dogs. And police say they don't have any reason to suspect foul play.
Now to a follow-up on an LEX 18 Investigates report in Garrett County. Construction crews were at the scene of a demolished bridge today taking measurements. We're told they're preparing to put in a temporary bridge so residents will have a way in and out when the water rises. The bridge was demolished because it was no longer safe, but the contractor never showed to replace it. Ford Contracting of Lancaster has told residents the steel beams won't be in until December, and it will take until March for it to be built.
Kentucky State Senator, Democrat Reggie Thomas, pre-filed a bill today that would raise the minimum wage for workers in Kentucky. Bill Request 302 calls for staggered increases over the next 7 years, bringing minimum wage up to $15 an hour by July 1st, 2026. Senator Thomas said, quote, "We need to make sure that everyone has a livable wage," end quote. A Knox County pharmacy is taking advantage of recently passed legislation allowing pharmacists to test patients for the flu and other illnesses.
Now, this is the only pharmacy in the state currently certified to provide this service. Alexa Helwig has details.
It's a really great concept. If you feel like you're coming down with the flu, you can walk right into West Knox Pharmacy in Corbin, and within 10 minutes, they'll know if you have it or not. And if you do, you can walk right out with a prescription.
I think it's going to be a huge thing, and it's going to be very convenient for the patients.
Forget the long emergency room lines or doctor's office visits. If you're feeling groggy and you think it could be the flu, the pharmacists at West Knox Pharmacy are now certified to assess walk-in patients and give them that answer almost instantly.
We have a special testing that will actually tell us it's not a visual like some testing supplies are. It is an actual positive or negative test.
If a patient tests positive, the pharmacist can then begin treatment and give them a prescription, which has been signed off by a county doctor.
We can't say we prescribe it, but we initiate therapy, so we will give them a prescription. The prescription actually will go under Dr. West's name.
As flu season begins, this will hopefully cut down on ER visits.
The ER can now focus on more important, serious issues.
They've made this affordable for everyone. It costs just about $20 to get that test done. We're covering the news in Knox County from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom. Back to you.
West Knox Pharmacy does not require an appointment to have the test done. You can walk right in during normal business hours.
Well, meanwhile, there's a nationwide shingles vaccine shortage. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention confirms a shortage of the Shingrix vaccine. We're told vaccine shortfalls may last through the end of the year. The manufacturer of Shingrix, GlaxoSmithKline, calls the level of demand unprecedented and says it is shipping large volumes of that vaccine to pharmacies every 2 or 3 weeks.
A historic downtown Lexington building, once bustling with criminals, lawyers, and judges, now has new life.
Get a closer look inside the multi-million-dollar restoration of the old Fayette County Courthouse that's now home to restaurants, offices, and more. Next on LEX 18 News at 6.